How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, it's awesome to speak to you today. I just love your show. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember
thank
the
you.
last time I talked to you, but I'm
I
a
do.
huge fan, huge fan.
Thank you.
Um,
See you
I mean, I
again.
like hospital shows and soap operas and things like that, but yours is so unique. If you can use "so" as a qualifier to unique, but you know what I mean.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So I'm sad that the show is ending, and I could have watched these characters go on for another 5 or 10 years at least. Were you always planning to end the show after fourth season, or was that something that wasn't out of your control?
It was in my control, and I was planning on it. And the show, I had looked in the beginning. That's how I had pitched it. I had sort of said, well, he's going to have to redo his residency, and so we could sort of look at that 4 year period of redoing your residency as a 4 year window into his life, as he sort of, as Bashir sort of starts to shed some of his past and sort of sets himself up to build his life anew. And in that time, I knew we were going to tell these stories in his past about the war and about getting out and what happened to him. And I'd always felt that in the core conceit of the show, if we continued to do it year after year, we'd be repeating ourselves. And that in the concept of the show built around Bashir just wasn't really built for that, to let it continue. So it was the plan, and everybody was really supportive of the plan. And as we made it, as we prepared to write this final season, which does like write to a conclusion, and at the same time, we all felt very emotional about that because it's a really cohesive group of people that has made like a couple hundred people together that have made this show over what is essentially 6 years, through a pandemic. We went through a
Right.
lot together, and it was emotional for us to put it behind us. But like I always say, thematically, the show is about starting again. It's about how it's never too late to start again. So we decided to put our mouth where our money was, our money where our mouths were, and do that ourselves too.
Oh.
So that's.
So there was never an idea of like doing a spin-off or anything like that?
I mean, spinoff is you never say never about that, but we wanted to make sure that we told Bash's story as framed in exactly the way we had planned.
Right, right. Okay. Well, what was the most challenging thing about filming this season, the last season?
The most challenging thing about filming the fourth season was preparing for an ending because we got, like I said, we wrote, we didn't waste the opportunity. If you get the opportunity producing television to know that you have an ending, as opposed to one kind of just imposed on you between
Right.
seasons, you don't want to waste that. So we kind of left it all on out there on the floor from a dramatic perspective, um, and wrote something really emotional and challenging for the production and for the actors. So as we start getting, when it came to like making the show, the medical sequences, that sort of stuff, we got really good at that over the
Right,
years.
sure.
And so it's really the actors and the writers and everybody kind of coming together to do this was the most affecting and difficult part of the last season, but also the most rewarding. I'll say that
I'm
too.
sure. Yeah, I think I like most of what you did at the end, the way you tied everything up, and there were a few surprises along the way that I really enjoyed. There was one thing I didn't like, and
What?
I don't want to spoil it, so
Okay.
you could probably guess. And
Yeah.
the last few episodes were kind of unexpected. Was that something you always planned to do with the thing that I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like what I'll say about that is that because the show was kind of planned as in a sort of 4X structure, there were certain things that happened over the life of the show that Bash needed to be tested because we're coming to know this person. We have a window into getting to know him. We're seeing his past, and we're being told that he's making progress in his past with putting that stuff behind him. But if we don't challenge him in his present, if we don't see him go through struggle, present tense struggle, and get behind it, how can we really believe that he's going to be okay? And that's what I really wanted to leave people with. And so a couple of that's why John Hannah left the show at the end of season 2 was because he was kind of a mentor and a protector, and Bash needed to be sort of out there on his own. And
Sure.
so in season 4, symmetrically, we kind of conspire, some present tense drama to unfold in his life that really puts him through a ringer in a way that we haven't seen in the present tense, to hope engender this feeling in our audience that he's made some progress putting himself back together.
Now, the show aired last year in Canada. What kind of feedback did you get from fans about that ending?
I got a whole mix of feedback.
Yeah.
I got like, but the thing is that I really like that because I feel like it's our job to evoke a reaction. So like the worst thing you can say to me is meh or whatever.
Right.
So if I'm making you happy, that's great. And if I'm making you frustrated, that's still an emotional response, and that's all I want. So if people are talking about it, if they're angry, that's interesting to me. And if they're happy, that's even better. But but and that said, I'm not a big online person, so
Right.
I don't really look at that stuff, although I do get it anecdotally. So yeah.
Yeah, last year after I interviewed, I don't remember if it was you or one of the actors, and I went looking for pictures that I couldn't find elsewhere on Instagram, and then I went on the Canadian Instagram by accident. I mean, it was a Canadian Instagram, it was for the show,
Uh,
and so I saw the pictures and the spoilers. I was like, oh no,
yeah.
I'm okay now. I'm over
Okay. Okay.
it. Oh no, but the last like two episodes made it better. I have
Good.
to say. But so there were several disasters that you have this season, like a sinkhole and an earthquake. Do those things usually happen in Toronto, or have they happened before in Toronto?
Sinkhole, yes. Like
Oh,
many North American cities, we have like a crumbling public infrastructure that is constantly in need of repair. Earthquake, yeah. I mean, it's not, we just do like a little aftershock, you
hmm.
know? Um, yeah, it's been known to happen. There's a fault line. I think it's like, we say it in the show, but I think it's upstate New York or Niagara
Oh, okay.
Falls. There is a fault line, yeah. It's not like the West Coast,
Right,
but it's
sure.
possible to get aftershocks. And, I think that's sort of like, we're always looking for ways to have the story trigger Bash's kind of field hospital skill set. And it kind of gets
Sure.
harder and harder the more you do the show. So we did the sinkhole so Bash could go underneath the the street, to try to rescue some guy in a sinkhole, which he does. We also this season do like a chemical spill, which we
Right.
do remotely in the Canadian North, where he can't get up there, but he has to talk through like a local doctor who's trying to deal with like a sarin-like exposure. And then in one episode, we do a hospital gas leak.
Hmm.
So we are always looking for those kinds of stories just to try to tap into his that skill set of his.
That's great. Now, I read somewhere a long time ago, because I'm from California, that every state in the U.S. has fault lines.
Hmm.
And that's why I think it's the Mississippi River, is it? They used to flow the other direction, and a major earthquake in the past changed it to go the opposite direction. Anyway, maybe it's the Rio Grande. I don't remember. But anyway,
Interesting.
so you're done with this now. Do you have something else you're working on?
I do. Yeah. I have a few other projects that I'm working on, and both of which are still kind of in their earlier stages, but I'm very much excited about. Yeah. No, I'm not nothing that I'm ready to talk about, but yes, I
Oh,
do.
okay. Well, I understand. And so I wanted to tell you that thank you for the great work you did in the show. I just love the characters and the story and everything. And I will make sure to watch whatever you do going forward. I think you worked on Ransom, right? I love that show too.
I did. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Thank
And
you for covering it
yeah.
and everything.
Oh yeah. And there were some things that surprised me this season. There were not story things so much as things that surprised me about Canada and
Oh
even
yeah.
a little about the US. I didn't know that both countries still have places with lead in the walls, so that was shocking. And that I guess I thought all Canadians learned French in school. So when there was some French and the others didn't know it, I was, I thought they all learned that in school.
You have to take it until you have to take it, but only until the end of grade 8 or grade 9. And
Oh, okay.
so you take it like Spanish, right? Like you take like one class a day. So some kids choose to become bilingual, but most of Canadians do not, unless you
Right.
live in Canada. Yeah.
And I was also surprised at some of the same issues that affect our hospitals, such as doctors and nurse shortages right now, and
Yes.
budgetary constraints, even though they have free healthcare up there, that they affect the Canadian hospitals. So, well, thank you for educating us all as well.
Thank you for saying that. And about that, I always say, yes, institutions are struggling everywhere. We see it, and that we try to. The institutions are as fertile and strong as the people running them. So you have heroes in our systems like Claire on our show, who go above and beyond every day for no money, who face shortages and politics and all these things to just get the job done. And then you have different kinds of people, and so whatever other kind of shortages or bureaucratic problems we have, we kind of wanted to engage with that idea over the course of the show. And I think it does transcend borders, as you say.
Right. And I guess one of the things I wanted to see if the show going forward or something was to see what happened to the hospital after all these doctors left. I mean, they already were struggling and then they lost three of them. So anyway, maybe you can write that up sometime.
Sure.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
You too. Thanks, Suzanne. Nice to see you.